Hello everybody. It gives me much pleasure to introduce my friend Shri Narendra Murthy. He is a very good friend of mine. I am blessed that serendipity has brought him into my life as a great friend. He has authored as many as 7 books. Out of that, this book, Eating His Money, has been published very recently. To my understanding, he has got the impeccable humanity and creative potential. He has devoted his more than 3.5 decades of his lifetime towards study of Eastern and Western philosophies, and all the writings that he has done has come up from his deep level knowledge in those subjects. Professionally, he worked as the Divisional Manager in insurance sector. His book, Eating His Money, that is the Antics of a Metaphysical Clown, it is based on the Sufi literature. He has illustrated the wisdom of ancient philosophies by virtue of traditions and the knowledge from different cultures of the world. And he has made it intelligible to the general lay readers. That's the important aspect of his book. I feel that he has got a treasure house of knowledge which is worth sharing to the world. That is the reason I requested him for an interview, and he has kindly accepted my request. In my interview, I'll be asking him some relevant questions on his books, his explorations regarding the truth in respect of this book, and his future plans. So let's begin the interview. All right, Narendra. Tell us about your journey as an author, although you worked in the financial sector.
Thanks a lot, Viju, for having me here. As far as my journey as a writer is concerned, though I was working in the insurance sector, my deep driving passion has always been the study of religion and philosophy. Reading has always been a passion for me, and I have about, you can say, 35 years of study. I started when I was, you can say, at the age of 25 I started studying. But later on, around, you can say when I was around 42 or so, I started writing. I felt that what I was writing, or rather what I gathered during my study, that has to be expressed in a simple form for the lay readers. So that is what made me write, based on what I have read. And since I started writing, like I said, I started writing in my early 40s. Since then I have been writing continuously. There was my profession, and I continued my writing as my hobby and passion.
Great. So what is eating his money about? And what made you write it?
Actually, when I was studying different philosophies, I delved into Sufism. And when I was reading Sufism, I discovered the special way in which Mulla Nasrudin, we all know about him, he's the enigmatic clown, wise man, whatever you call him, of the Middle East. I discovered that he was actually a teaching method. There's one Islamic scholar, his name is Idris Shah. Idris Shah, now in modern times, you can call him one of the most important popularizers of Sufi thought in the West. One of his books, when I was reading, that book is called The Sufis by Idris Shah. In that book, there's one chapter dedicated to Mulla Nasrudin. There, Idris Shah explains how Nasrudin has been used as a meditation exercise for the disciples. The Sufi Masters, they used to tell these Mulla Nasrudin stories to their disciples, and they were asked to meditate upon it. Apparently, on a superficial level, the Mulla Nasrudin stories, they appear like jokes. You can laugh at them. That humor element is there. But behind that humor, each story had multiple layers of meanings, very deep philosophical meanings. Each story they had, which the disciple was expected to discover. Usually masters did not supply the meaning to the disciples. They were supposed to meditate on the stories. And as an example, in that particular chapter, Idris Shah gave a few illustrations that this story, basically it conveys this meaning, like that. So I was so fascinated that I wanted to know the inner meanings of all the Mulla Nasrudin stories. So there were only a few examples in that chapter. Then I started hunting around, looking for those explanations, and I couldn't find any. So I felt that there was a demand-supply gap as far as understanding Mulla Nasrudin is concerned. But since I didn't get those meanings and interpretations of those stories, there were a whole lot of stories available. In fact, Idris Shah has come up with a 3-volume compilation of Nasrudin stories, more than 300 stories. But they don't contain the commentaries or the explanations. So I decided to use my own knowledge and my own understanding of philosophy and religion to interpret these stories. These interpretations are mine. If I'm not saying they're right, I'm not saying these are the explanations. I'm not saying that. But these explanations are entirely mine, based on my own study. I may be wrong, but they are mine. And I rise or fall with them.
That's really wonderful. What is the really difference between Sufism and Islam?
Well, in every religion, there are two aspects of religion. One is the outer aspect, where we perform rituals and worships and observances, customs, we follow those things. That I would call the outer religion. It's called the exoteric religion. So, if we are talking about Islam, Islam has those 5 tenets of Islam. If you're a Muslim, you are required to follow those 5 tenets. That is, declaration of faith. One is doing namaz 5 times a day. One is observing a month-long fast during the holy month of Ramadan. One is giving alms, zakat, it is called zakat, giving alms. And as a good Muslim, you're expected to perform the pilgrimage to Mecca, which we call Hajj. So that is what the outer religion is all about. It's about good conduct. It's about moral behavior. But there is something called the inner religion. Inner religion is not concerned about these things, these outer aspects of life. Inner religion is about transformation of consciousness, where you bring about an inner revolution in your mind and consciousness. That is called the esoteric religion. It is also called mysticism. Sufism is the inner religion. In that sense, it differs from Islam. Sufism, you can say, it is very similar to the bhakti cults of India. It is the religion of love. Love in what sense? There's a lover and there's a beloved. The lover is the Sufi and the beloved is God. So, Sufism is the religion of love between man and God. God is the beloved. That is what Sufism is. And it brings about an inner transformation of man.
So you can't say that it is the offshoot of Islam, no? It's a...
Yes, offshoot in the sense, the framework is Islam. The framework is Islam. But Islam is directed at the outer life of a human being, and Sufism is about inner transformation. The framework is Islam. It arose from the tradition of Islam. It arose from that tradition. Like in the Hindu bhakti cults also, we had Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we had Kabir, we had Nanak, we had Meera. They are all, that's also the religion of love. They also expressed their love towards God, towards the divine being. But the framework was Hinduism. They arose from the Hindu tradition. So it's that kind of a relationship.
Thank you. Can you give us a couple of examples, the methods that you have used to interpret the jokes of Mulla Nasrudin?
You mean from the book?
From the book,
the
book, yes.
Okay, let me give you two very well-known stories about Mulla Nasrudin, which are very well-known. One is that in that particular story we find Nasrudin is looking for something under the street light. He's searching for something. So one of his friend comes over and he says, "Hey Nasrudin, what are you searching for?" And he says, "I've lost my key. I'm looking for my lost key." Then the friend says, "Okay, let me also help you." So he also, along with Nasrudin, he starts looking for the key. But they are unable to find. Then his friend asks him, "But where exactly have you dropped it? Have you dropped it here?" Then Nasrudin says, "No, I've lost it. I lost it at home. It's there in my home." Then he said that if you lost the key at your home, why are you looking for it under the street light? And Nasrudin replies, "Because there is more light here." Now the inner symbolism which is there, this is the apparent level of the story. What is there behind this apparent level is, these are all symbols. Street light, home, all these are key, all these are symbols. Key is the key to happiness. We are all looking for the key to happiness in our lives. We are all searching for it. Now, the key lies in the home. The home is a metaphor for the self. The key to happiness lies within yourself. That's the idea. But we think that the key lies in the outside world. It lies outside us. That's why we go on a wild goose chase all over the place looking for happiness in the outer world, which we never find. And the street light, it denotes or signifies the glitter of life, the glamour of life, the attraction of the outer life. It's very glamorous. There's more light here. It's very attractive and glamorous. So Nasrudin is saying there is more light here. So since he thinks that there's more glitter and light here, the key lies there. It doesn't. The key is always in the darkness of the whole, which is yourself. That's the symbolism of that story. There is more light here. That's probably the second story of this book. Let me give you another example. That one of Nasrudin's friend, he asks him, Nasrudin, how old are you? And he says, I am 40 years old. He said, but I met you 2 years back and you said the same thing. Then Nasrudin says, yeah, I always stand by what I say. Now this, when Nasrudin says this, that I will always stand by what I say, he's actually poking fun at the rigid systems of thought in religion and elsewhere too. All the religions which take the stand that whatever I say is fixed and cannot be changed, whatever I say is final, it's cast in iron, that leads to a whole lot of absurdities. Because time flows. Life is flux and impermanence. Like in Hinduism, we had a whole lot of regressive practices. Sati we had, child marriage we had, all those things we had. But we changed with the time. There were reformers who rose from within the Hindu tradition and who reformed the religion. And because we did not take the stand, Hindus did not take the stand that whatever, I always stand by what I say. We are willing to modify our position based on the realities of life, based on the flux and impermanence of life. When the outer world is changing at a tremendous pace, then you have to change to keep pace with that change. So wherever religion has tried to be rigid, like you see the same thing happened when Roman Catholic Church stood against the march and progress of science. The Papal Church stood as a barrier against the progress of knowledge, because it did not want to give up its rigid position. So Mulla Nasrudin is poking fun at that I always stand by what I say. A fixed age is an absurdity, and Nasrudin is pointing to that absurdity.
That dogmatic finality of any religious practice whatsoever. Right, that's really wonderful. As well as your first one, where we should look for the happiness within ourselves rather than outside the world.
Right.
Okay. Next. What is your next book? What is it about?
Actually, the next book, which if everything goes well, it should be out sometime this year. It's already being assessed by my literary agent. This book is a collection of 20 essays on different subjects. There's psychology, there's sociology, there's political philosophy, there is impact of technology on human lives. So I have, apart from my study of religion and philosophy, I also take interest in these subjects, on ecology. So these essays are of varied kind. You cannot put them under a category. Like eating his money, you can put it under the category of Sufism or philosophy. But this book cannot be put under any category because the subjects are varied. And I am calling that book, Is the Internet Making Us Stupid? That is in fact the title essay, the first essay of the book, which mainly deals with our, the current phenomenon of a worldwide pandemic of attention deficits, which we all suffer from due to our increased exposure to internet, social media, and audiovisual media. Our attention spans have gone for a toss. So it's about that first essay. So, whole lot of subjects are there, and the 20 essays are there in that collection, and it's called Is the Internet Making Us Stupid? It's a collection of essays. That's
all the problems and the different issues
of
the present times.
Even some political essays are there. where we talk about utopias, dystopias, and all those. Now you see in the world we are seeing this a resurgence of identity politics. So there's one essay which deals with that. That why is identity politics so important nowadays? Such different kinds of subjects are there.
What are the future projects that you have in mind?
After this, actually, there was a book I wrote during the lockdown period. Like this Eating His Money is a commentary on the Mulla Nasrudin jokes. That book is a collection of 30 of my commentaries on Zen stories. So Zen stories have come down to us from the tradition of Zen Buddhism. They're also very interesting and very enigmatic and absurd stories are there. But again, they have to be interpreted. If you read it superficially, you won't understand what the story is about, but it's highly entertaining also. So 30 stories I have chosen from the Zen tradition, and I wrote commentaries on those stories, and that is going to be my next project after this collection of the essays that is going to come out this year.
Wonderful. As requested by you, I am keeping this interview quite brief, but if it is of interest to the general people, then we'll be coming out with many such interviews in near future. And thank you viewers for your attention, and thank you Narendra.
Thank you, Dijo. Thank you. Thanks
For your wisdom.
Thanks a lot.
We look forward to see you again.